Hello, everybody, and welcome to the WESG Hearthstone qualifiers for Mexico and other Central American countries. I am your host, Nekra, and I'm here with Cinder Ascendant, another one of the WESG casters. How are you doing tonight, Cinder?
I'm doing great. Second cast of the night for WESG, but I am ready for this one.
I know it's going to be a great match. We have I Am Chaps GG facing off against ToXavier, and it's already gotten very interesting if we just take a look at the bans. Why don't you tell us a little bit about those?
Sure. So we have I am Chaps has the fairly standard lineup. Even Shaman, even Warlock, Malagos Druid, Spell Hunter. On the other side of the table, ToXavier takes Death Rattle Hunter, Odd Paladin, Zoo Warlock. And the interesting deck that he took is Inner Fire Combo Priest, and this is more along the lines, not a top seed deck, but more along the lines of Zalay's deck with big health and Inner Fire, Void Ripper, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I am Chaps banned it, even though it's absolutely his best matchup. And
Yeah.
then from the other direction, ToXavier ended up banning the Malagos Druid, which was his best matchup. So they've managed to equalize this series fairly well just by eliminating the decks that they should have beaten by virtue of their lineup build. So this is going to be
Mm-hmm.
really interesting.
It sounds like we're going to be in for a 5-game series if we've even the playing fields that much by just banning their best matchups. But something that I am a little concerned about is playing against Secret Hunter myself, especially the new version with Rostacon's Rumble. That Secret Hunter is very deadly, and I Am Chaps is definitely intelligent for bringing that to today's match. So I know we're going to be getting into it soon, but what do you expect these players to start out with?
Well, the one thing I've really noticed after the ban here, ToXavier's Zoo Warlock is fairly vulnerable to I Am Chaps' lists. So
Mhm.
I imagine he might be saving that Zoo Warlock for last. He might want to try to get a couple of games ahead and then give himself a couple of chances to win with that Zoo Lock. But then again, he might be the type of player who wants to get the bad matchup out first. So I could go either way. But in any case, his key to victory here is going to be to find a win with that Zoo Warlock over I Am Chaps.
Yeah, well, we're going to be getting right into it. So we'll start to see exactly what these two players have brought to the table. And it does look like we're not going to see that bad matchup. We will see exactly what you said, which is maybe saving that Zoo Warlock for a little bit later. But ToXavier is going to start out on the Odd Paladin versus I Am Chaps GG's Deadly Secret Hunter.
Yeah, and this is fine. Odd Paladin is one of those decks that can just win against anything, and it has a fairly decent matchup going into the Secret Hunter. As long as you know how to play around the secrets, shouldn't be a problem for the Odd Paladin to squeeze out a win here.
Yeah, I mean, it unfortunately looks like ToXavier is starting out with a very weapon-heavy hand. And I know that against secrets, it's not exactly what you want to see to start out with. But, I Am Chaps is going to go ahead and start off by laying those secrets, getting them in hand, and getting them ready to go for the onslaught.
Yeah, the secret plan offered up. He probably wanted to see a flame strike there, but snake trap's okay. This might allow I Am Chaps to challenge some of those early recruit tokens. And ToXavier is not off to a bad start either. Lost in Jungles, a fine turn one play, can back it up with the hero power on turn two, into the weapon on three champion smalls, two more Silverhand recruits. So he's got some gas to go in the early game here.
Yeah, we're gonna see him opt to actually not play that Lost in the Jungle at the very beginning. I think just wanting to see what he's up against. You see I Am Chaps hovering over that snake trap, and while it wasn't the flame trap that he really wanted to see there, he has a very good answer in his hand with the pressure that ToXavier is able to put on board with those fireflies, the Lost in the Jungle, the dudes, and that answer would be that Unleash the Hounds.
Yeah, I think what ToXavier was thinking there, passing up on the Lost in the Jungle, was exactly that. He's like, I don't want to lose one of my strongest cards to an explosive trap. He saw the secret plan, wants to try to pick up something else to play around it, and he did. He picked up the Firefly, so he's going to probably use these to test out the trap and see what he's dealing with.
Yeah, I would have tested out the trap before potentially putting down that maul, especially if it was a explosive trap.
Yep.
But he's gonna get really lucky there with the snake trap getting popped by attacking the Leok. Gotta get that out of the way because that's giving so much value to those snakes that are on board.
Yeah, this is actually a little awkward for ToXavier. He ends up triggering the snake trap, but with no way to effectively clear the snakes because now they're pumped by Leok, and he's got no way to clear Leok. So he's got to either trade away the 2 fireflies into Leok or trade away the 2 fireflies into the snake. And either way, he's kind of given up the board to I Am Chaps on turn 4. So this is a little strange for him to roll into.
Move quickly.
Yeah, actually, yeah, I'm a little surprised at that because I think that the Leok provides so much agency to the snakes that got procced from the trap. And especially because I know we can see this in hand, he has a lot of answers to ToXavier's board. I think I would have gone for the value trade there and just, even though it was giving up a little bit of the board, I think that that damage would have been better served going into the Leok than going to the face.
Yeah, and ToXavier maybe he might be looking at that Fungalmancer in hand and thinking, you know, I want to try and preserve as much of this board as I can to try and reverse the board on a coin play on turn 4. But this Unleash the Hounds is going to absolutely flip the board for I Am Chaps.
Yeah, that is going to decimate the board. I mean, I think there is a little bit of a better way that that could have been played. You know, trade in one of the snakes if you were going to anyway. Get all, you know, get a couple more hounds. But this is a huge board for I Am Chaps, and ToXavier is going to need to find an answer for this.
Yeah, and you know, Odd Paladin, not a deck that runs a lot of reversal mechanics, right? There's no Consecrate. This is an odd deck, so Consecrate at 4 mana is unplayable. And with no way to clear board easily, they have to rely on their minions to make those trades. If once it gets behind, the Odd Paladin can run into a little bit of trouble, but it's got so many ways to generate tokens. So ToXavier's behind here, but I think he can still reverse this.
Yeah, he's just going to need to start putting out some board pressure. And that Void Ripper, it feels so bad to just play that into a bunch of 1/1 tokens that are on the board, because you don't get a whole lot of value from that. But that Emerald Spellstone coming out from I Am Chaps might spell the end for ToXavier.
It might Spellstone the end of the match. Xavier. Yeah, this is a ton of damage here. This is 12 plus hero power 14. Xavier has no answer to the board, and that kill command sitting in the hand for I Am Chaps. This should be game over. You know, ToXavier really needed to level up at some point in the sequence to try and put up some taunts, but this is a ton of damage coming down.
Yeah, especially not being able to deal effectively with the Leok. I think that ToXavier was hoping that that was a different secret, but with that kill command going at the face, that is going to be the command of the end of the game, and we will be going into the second map where I Am Chaps is up in the series 1-0.
Yeah, Spell Hunters now put away, got the win with. This was actually a fairly tricky lineup to cue the Spell Hunter into. That was probably his worst matchup. So getting the win on the unfavored matchup, hugely important to I Am Chaps. He's now got a great leg up in this series.
Yeah, absolutely. It looked like ToXavier got a little bit unlucky with the draw that he was getting from the Odd Paladin. Didn't see a lot of the critical cards that make Odd Paladin what it is in the aggressive deck that is so successful. So I think that here, I do expect that ToXavier is going to go with the Odd Paladin again. I think that just, you know, he's comfortable with the deck. He really does know how it's supposed to be played. That was just bad luck for a warm-up game. Let's go into it again and see if it can pull out a win against one of I Am Chaps' 2 decks that are left, which would be either the Even Shaman or the Even Lock. Are the odds against him?
Yeah, he's gonna stick with it, stick to his guns. I like it. His opening hand looks a good bit better.
Yes. Not as weapon heavy.
No, that Vine Cleaver, you never want to see that early, but here's some early minions, a little bit of value generation from the Stonehill Defender. I Am Chaps, his isn't bad either. You know, one of the ways that this Even Shaman dominates wide board strategies is by itself making an even wider board. And he's got three 2-drops, and of course the hero power is at 1 mana, so he's got they've both got good starts here, Necra.
Yeah, they really do, Cinder, and I think that if I'm going to have to give it to any player at this point, I Am Chaps has a lot of utility there by being able to create as wide of a board as even Shaman allows. And that's something that Odd Paladin has a really difficult time dealing with, is a wide board. Because like we said in that last game, you aren't running board clears like Consecrate, you aren't running Equality, you aren't running any of those things that are useful for large board removal. So I think this is going to have to come down to who gets, or is who is able to generate more value faster.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's a board race. It's going to be who can get on the board faster and keep it. And I really like the coin play here from I Am Chaps. He knows that hero power is coming down for 2 mana, going to create 2 tokens. He's got to be able to start generating as many minions as he can because he's got Direwolf Alpha in hand available to power up some trades, and the Vicious Scalehide as well. Both of those minions are going to really help this early trade game. If he can, he just needs to keep pace with that hero power from the Odd Paladin.
Yeah, and that hero power is going to provide a lot of ability for trades, especially because of the placement that I Am Chaps ended up putting that Direwolf Alpha. So you know you'll have those totems coming down on the other side of it, and that's just going to be a lot more tokens for I Am Chaps to utilize to try to inch closer to victory. But ToXavier is doing a lot of work trying to control the board and get a bigger presence than what I Am Chaps is able to deal with, because also even Shaman doesn't really run a whole lot that can deal with a wide board either.
It does have some spot removal in things like the Merc Sparkeel, of course, one of the big reasons you play the deck. Some of them run the Fire Plume Phoenix, and of course the Fire Elemental in hand for I Am Chaps. You know, I want to rewind a little bit. I Am Chaps made a decision there on turn 2 to play the Direwolf Alpha and trade with the totem, the Primal Fin totem. And that allowed ToXavier to clear the totem with the 2 recruits because it had a damage on it. If I Am Chaps had played the Vicious Scalehide instead, that would have traded away the defender, and then Xavier wouldn't have been able to easily answer that Primal Fin totem. So I think that decision is going to start sliding the board in ToXavier's favor here.
I think so, and you can see the result of that choice in this particular board in this particular turn, because ToXavier has just cleared so many minions off of I Am Chaps' side that he now has to kind of struggle to catch up to the pressure that ToXavier is putting out on the board with all of those dudes. Really, the only thing that he needs to do at this point is wait to get more dudes on board and use that level up that is waiting so patiently in his hand. And that's going to be an immense amount of board pressure.
I wouldn't even mind him using it right now. It allows for 2 clean trades into the Saronite Chain Gang, and then the rest of his minions can just completely clear the board from I Am Chaps. And this is going to secure the board for ToXavier here. And this is a very, very difficult position for the Even Shaman to come back from.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the Merc Sparkeel in hand, which is that spot removal that we were talking about a little bit before. He might be able to pull something cheeky off of the Menacing Nimbus. But for the most part, this is going to be a pretty difficult spot for I Am Chaps to come back from. You know, the Igneous Elemental, it's good for board and to widen the board, but you, at this point, really need to get something to remove those minions. And that Purifier's Maul is not going to help.
Oh no, this is a huge pickup off the top for ToXavier. Man, this 6 minions with Divine Shield and a weapon hit. Oh man, you know, whatever I Am Chaps was thinking about trying to fight back on this board, they all just flew right out the window into the sky, because this board is going to be extremely difficult for I Am Chaps to manage.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, if I'm ToXavier, I do see the value in trying to keep the board in your control, but at the same time, send that damage to the face. Start getting I Am Chaps in a position where he's sweating a little bit, and, you know, say that, like, this series isn't over. Like, I can take this from you.
Right. Well, you know, one of the things that he has to consider, though, is that I Am Chaps, there somewhere in that deck is a Sea Giant or 2. Yeah. So he has to really be mindful of how many minions he leaves up on the board. So that's why we see so much trading. You see, we're at turn 7 now, and both players are still above 20 health because there's so much trading going on the board. But that's absolutely necessary, I think. And you see now, even a 6/5 from the Fire Elemental, this is somewhat awkward for ToXavier to deal with. Fungal Mancer off the top is going to help, but that can be a really difficult, even one medium-sized minion can be difficult for Odd Warrior to handle sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely true, but you're going to see that Fungal Mancer go down to make the Corridor Creeper one of the biggest minions on the board at 7 health. That is going to be incredibly difficult to remove, especially with a Divine Shield on top of it. And why not add a couple more dudes to boot?
More dudes. Well, and yeah, ToXavier is in such a commanding position here. Chaps, he can. There's a Hex. He's almost spending his whole turn hexing if that's what he wants to do, and that still leaves 5, 6, 79 damage on board. You know, he's just backsliding into a late game. Lich King might be a Hail Mary play. You know, could hope for Death and Decay to get that 3 damage to all opponents. But this next couple turns is going to be, can I slow down this damage enough to find an out?
I mean, that Fire Elemental getting rid of that 3/3 is going to help just a little bit with that, but you still have that 4/7 Corridor Creeper. And, oh, that Stormwind Champion top deck. Oh, no. I think that if you were looking for a Hail Mary play with that Lich King, I don't think that you can do that anymore, because that Stormwind's going to go on board. It put 6 more damage to the face, and
yeah, this should be one off. Yeah. Holy smokes. And this is, I mean, Chaps can throw up some taunts here, but there's really not enough in hand. There's not enough mana, not enough cards to deal with this enormous board. Hexing the Stormwind Champion might be an option. You know, he can play that with the Saturnight Chain Gang, make ToXavier fight through the taunts a little bit, but yeah, Leroy in hand that's tough to beat.
I don't even know what Chaps can really do at this point. I see the trade from the Fire Elemental into the Stormwind Champion. That seems like a very easy choice. You have the Saturnight Chain Gang that's going to go up, and then a Hex onto the big 4/7 that he was going to have a lot of difficulty dealing with. But you look at that, and that any damage from hand in ToXavier's hand, that Leroy or that Vine Cleaver will seal this game for ToXavier.
Yeah, down to 1 thanks to that Stormwind Champion play, so that he just needs to punch through these Saranites, and that's it. ToXavier's going to retire that Odd Paladin.
And that's... Yeah, so we've got now that Odd Paladin out of the way from ToXavier, and that was something that he really needed to secure a win with, because he was going to struggle against the rest of the decks that Chaps had in his arsenal for this match. But looking at what's left, you've got ToXavier with the Death Rattle Hunter, as well as the Zoolock. 2 pretty aggressive decks, I'd have to say. And on the other side, you've got Chaps that's going to have to battle it out again with that Even Shaman, and has Even Lock in the back. So what are you predicting from these matchups going forward?
You know, this was another super important win. ToXavier had an unfavored matchup with the Odd Paladin going into the Even Shaman, so he really needed to win that game. So I think now the Death Rattle Hunter becomes a real necessity to get a win with, because he's got an unfavored with the Even Warlock. But no, he's going to queue up the Zoolock, looks like.
Oh, so Zoolock into the Even Shaman. What can you say about the matchup that between these 2 decks?
Even Shaman tends to really do a great job of dominating the board against Zoo. Zoo has lots of small, low health minions that the Even Shaman has answers for. Plus, we see the Corpse Taker in hand. This is also part of the equation, because with the Corpse Taker picking up lifesteal off of one of the lifesteal minions in the hit, like the Vicious Scalehide, the Zoo has to trade into it pretty often, and that heals up the Even Shaman, gives them more time to trade out the board, and it just starts rolling out of control for the Zoolock to handle.
Yeah, and you're going to see Chaps answering that initial Light Warning coming out from ToXavier with the Menacing Nimbus, getting a Steam Surger off of that, and That's actually a pretty good pickup from Menacing Nimbus.
Yeah, that's actually pretty good. Like it's a decent body. It's going to trade well against the Zulok's minions, and it gives him a 1 mana deal. Is it a 2 mana deal too? I think it's 2 mana deal too,
Yeah.
with the Flame Geyser. So it's another removal tool in a game where the Even Shaman has already an advantage in removal on board, but he also needs an elemental to play with it. He needs to pick one up before next turn if he wants to play it on turn 4.
Yeah. So that might be a little bit tricky for Chaps to get the value from the battle cry of the Steam Surger, but it's still a pretty big body to have on board. You're going to see ToXavier heal up a little bit and is able to get out that nice combo that we like to see with the Happy Ghoul after healing a little bit of face damage. But Chaps is in an incredible position right now, able to get so much from that Flame Tongue Totem that's going to go in between that Menacing Nimbus and the Searing Totem from the Hero Power.
Yep, then he's going to tap and get another totem off the top. So, again, securing the board. It's not a strong board, but it is a board. And it's going to allow him to get a fairly safe position to play that Corpse Taker on. And that's exactly where the Even Shaman wants to be in this matchup. Corpse Taker on 4.
Yes, especially because that Corpse Taker might be able to take a pretty seat at the right hand of the Flame Tongue Totem. That's exactly where you want it to be, just getting a little bit more from the lifesteal. But not that Chaps particularly needs it. ToXavier hasn't been able to get a whole lot of damage onto his face. And right now he's in this position of, do I want to use Soulfire and try to get rid of it? Or, go ahead and just go with the Spellbreaker play and get rid of that Flame Tongue Totem now. So now that's just a dead spot on Chaps' board.
Yeah, of course there is also, the other Flame Tongue Totem, which can reactivate the silenced one, so that's a possibility. But yeah, that's a tricky position for ToXavier here. He uses the Spellbreaker to silence the totem, and now he doesn't have a way to deal with the Corpse Taker. Aside from either trading in and soul firing, which is one option, or what he goes with here, which is just load up taunts and say you got to trade into this.
Yeah, I mean, the Corpse Taker is going to be able to take care of those Saronite Chain Gangs very easily, especially with the Wind Fury that it picked up from deep within Chaps' deck. But right now, Chaps has so many options. That Sea Giant looking so juicy because of how big the board is right now for both of these players.
Yeah, Necra, both Sea Giants are in hand for Chaps, and you better believe he's going to try and get them both out this turn. Watch this.
He's going to.
Once the second one goes down, and this is very, very heads up. Didn't tap the hero power. Some people do that and make that mistake. Chaps knows exactly what to do.
Yes, and both of those Sea Giants are going to come down, and ToXavier already knows popping that play button because he just knows there's nothing into Zulok's kit that is going to be able to deal with that double trouble Sea Giant wall that Chaps was just able to put up on the board so easily, so flawlessly. I would probably give up too at that point if I saw that.
And a Corpse Taker on board that survives a turn. Like, this is so much power. And credit to ToXavier for just, waiting for the top deck to see what happens. But he might even just say, okay, Chaps, go ahead and do the honors. I'm done for.
Yeah. I mean, you don't get to see a play like that very often, where you get to see that Corpse Taker live to see another day, and then both Sea Giants coming onto the board at the same time. I mean, ToXavier's probably just impressed at this point, and probably wants to be able to let Chaps finish him off.
Yeah, there was a time earlier when Zulok commonly ran Sea Giants. That's when they had a lot more imp tokens popping out of things in that meta, and Sea Giants were taken for the Zulok mirror specifically, because usually the first person to land a Sea Giant won the game. And you can see in this game exactly why, because once one of those Sea Giants lands, there's really nothing that Zulok can do aside from try to outrace you. But Chaps is still at 30. He's got no problems, no worries. He can just will here with the Giant.
Oh man, and like ToXavier is gonna get the top deck of Prince Kaliseth, but without any real way to get any of those cards out, even after tapping, like, yep,
Okay,
there
we
it
go.
is. There's the defeat. I don't blame him for that. That was a very menacing board to deal with I Am Chaps' double sea giants.
Yeah.
But now, you know, with a 2-1 lead for I Am Chaps, all that he has left is the even lock.
Right.
So talk to me a little bit about what I Am Chaps is going to have to do in these next games against ToXavier's last 2 decks in order to seal out the series.
Well, generally, if you're holding an unfavored and a favored here into this even lock, that Death Rattle Hunter is pretty favored. However, I was looking at the deck list previously, and I Am Chaps is running a fairly heavily teched even lock. He's actually got he's got Mojo Master Zihi in there. There's a Mossy Horror to deal with stuff. There's a Skulking Geist. There's the Acidic Swampus. So he kind of threw in answers to all the different like problematic things that are in the meta. So he could be able to use some of those tech choices here to give himself some more percentages against something like a Death Rattle Hunter. However, we're seeing the Zoo lock into the even lock. So this is cap tip to Xavier because this is a tough matchup.
Yeah, this is going to be a little bit rough, but the Skulking Geist might help just a little bit. That's not exactly what you want to see in your hand at the very start of your even lock run, but seeing a Twilight Drake and a Mountain Giant isn't so bad.
Well, the Mountain Giant comes off the top. I tell you what, man, those Mountain Giants, they have a tendency to land in your hand no matter what.
Yeah, it's like a magnetic pull to your hand. Which is great because we talked about the Sea Giants being such a necessary card to draw and being a win condition. But like if you talk about like an even lock matchup, which this isn't because it's even lock versus zoo lock. Right. But in an even lock matchup, you see those Mountain Giants, and the first person to get those on board is usually able to take the whole thing.
Up to a point where even lock players will take things like Stubborn Gastropod or Doomsayer to try and interrupt the other player from playing their Mountain Giant first.
Yes.
Right. So you're right. It's absolutely important to get that Mountain Giant out on time. But ToXavier picking up the Keleseth, starting to hit the gas now. And this is a pretty good curve he's got in hand.
Yes, and it looks like he might be going for even more aggression here, hovering over that coin, because he does have a couple of options with the Voidwalker and the Flame Imp, just to get another minion on board, but Prince Keleseth is going to buff every other minion in that deck, and seeing it so early gives ToXavier a lot to work with here, especially because it's going to buff a lot of the minions to beyond 3 health. And that's what you want, especially going into an even lock matchup, because you're so worried about Defile, you're worried about those Hellfires, and all of those massive board clears that even lock runs in the deck.
You know, and we saw ToXavier hesitate on the coin. They thought about playing it and then, pointing out either, one of these other 2 1-drops, the Flame Imp or the Voidwalker, but they second-guessed it. And I think that is a nod of respect to the possibility of a Defile. And I Am Chaps is ready to drop those 3-mana giants next turn. ToXavier needs to put on a ton of pressure here this turn in order to make those Mountain Giants a tricky proposition going into turn 4.
Yeah, so you're going to see him drop everything that he's capable of dropping, sending the rest of that damage to the face. Already done 12 so far onto I Am Chaps. In combination with the hero power taps that I Am Chaps has been doing. But with 10 cards in hand, I Am Chaps has so many options, and he's looking at putting down those Mountain Giants. But also, ToXavier's board looks so good to Defile right now. So getting that whole board clear might be something that he goes for instead. Wait a little bit on those Mountain Giants and be patient.
Yeah, I think he has to. I think you can't allow ToXavier to use the coin along with the Fungalmancer on that many minions. You've got to play it a little defensively, clear off some of this power, reset the game state. Vulgar Homunculus is a great roadblock that'll allow I Am Chaps to get at least one of those Mountain Giants out. So this is, I like that a lot.
Yeah, I definitely like seeing that defensive pressure come out from I Am Chaps. But ToXavier has options as well. The Life Drinker plus the Happy Ghoul is going to be a pretty nice combination to just get a couple of minions down on board. Both of them have a decent amount of health, so you're not in range of that Defile anymore. But you still got to worry about Hellfire just a little bit for one of those removals that I Am Chaps is running in the Even Lock deck.
Yeah, and ToXavier actually ends up going with the Serenite Chain Gang, which you noted correctly that the Life Drinker is buffed by Keliseth, which means it can't be cleared alone by Hellfire. It would have forced a trade with the Homunculus plus a Hellfire to actually answer the Ghoul and the Life Drinker. But now this board is a little more susceptible to being cleared by Hellfire, which is, I guess it's asking the question of I Am Chaps, saying, do you have it or do you not? And of course, we see I Am Chaps does not, so out comes the Mountain Giant.
Yeah, that Mountain Giant's going to be a pest to deal with for ToXavier. It's like a repeat of last game, seeing those sea giants in the face. What can ToXavier do to deal with the pressure that might come out from a double giant board?
Well, having taunts in the way definitely helps. The Fungal Mancer is gonna looks like ToXavier's thinking about it. That's gonna allow ToXavier to trade through the Homunculus and lay down 6 more damage on I Am Chaps to put him down to 10. And that's that. At that point, I Am Chaps is not going to be able to continue to develop an offense. He's got to start playing defense. So it looks like that's what ToXavier is going to go with here.
Yeah, actually, he's gonna put him down to 9 health. Yeah. So you've got an extra couple, that Serenite was able to trade in pretty well into the Vulgar Homunculus with that 2/2 buff. And that's an even lower position for I Am Chaps to be in. But he's got a lot of utility here from being in such a low health range. That Hooked Reaver is going to get a lot of value. And you also saw that Spellstone get a little bit of a buff because of the Vulgar Homunculus play. So there are ways that I Am Chaps can come out of this for sure.
Yeah, there's a couple of options. Hooked Reaver plus Plated Beetle is an option, but also Spellstone and maybe the Sunfury Protector to go with it to taunt up the Giant. Oh, he's going to go with the Plated Beetle. I think both of these are fine. He's mostly out of range of lethal. The one lethal out here would be Leroy plus Soulfire, but we see it's not in hand, so ToXavier is going to go back to development.
I think so. Yeah, so he's gonna just widen the board here. That Life Drinker Happy Gold play is going to come out, and that Light Warden is such a nice pickup to have to be able to combo with that Life Drinker. That's a wide board coming up from ToXavier, and I Am Chaps has to do something like putting down a taunt or anything in order to deal with it. Like, he's going all in right now. ToXavier knows this is it. I have to win it here before we get into the late game where Even Lock definitely takes the upper hand.
Yeah, and ToXavier is probably thinking about turn 8 as a key turn, because that's when you have things like Lich King, which just came into the hand for I Am Chaps. That's when you've got Bone Mares. It's a very powerful turn for the Even Lock. So if Xavier can put down lethal now, it's smooth sailing. And I don't mind him going super wide here and committing everything, because even if the Hellfire is in hand, it would set Chaps down to 3, which is a lethal out for any number of cards. Soulfire, Leroy, of course, is waiting in the hand for Xavier. So there's a number of ways that Xavier can win that match, even if this got Hellfire cleared.
Yeah. But no Hellfire clear will come out. You see I Am Chaps doing the best that he can to find a way to stave off the damage. I do expect that Sunfury Protector is going to go down smack dab in the middle. The Twilight Drake. I was going to say between the Twilight Drake and the Plated Beetle, but that Plated Beetle is going to get sacrificed for the cause.
Ooh, and that Spellbreaker off the top.
Oh, God. Yeah, it's sad to say that I Am Chaps' defensive efforts are not going to be enough, and ToXavier will take this series, bringing it to 2-2. It's all tied up now, and we have to go to a game 5 in order to decide it. We called it at the very beginning. Banning the most favored matchups for both of these players really did even the playing field, and now it all comes down to this 5th and final game between I Am Chaps and ToXavier, you've got the even luck from I Am Chaps and ToXavier's Death Rattle Hunter.
Right, and interestingly, they both banned what I would not have expected them to ban. They both had great matchups into those two decks, and almost every one of these games has been an unfavored win. The deck that should normally lose has won. So this has been a very interesting 5-game set, and now we're seeing the Death Rattle Hunter going up against the Even Warlock, and normally Death Rattle Hunter really can carry this matchup, but as this series has gone, this might be the Even Lock's game.
Right. I've been so surprised by the plays that have come out from both of these players in those unfavored matchups. But I mean, we're seeing a pretty good start here from ToXavier with the Death Rattle Hunter. You love seeing tracking as one of the first cards in your hand because it gives you a very powerful turn 1 play to make. But I Am Chaps as well has a couple of cards in hand that you really do like to see, but I don't think you like seeing that 6 mana card that early on in the game.
Yeah, it's a little rough. You know, this hunter usually gets its power turns on like turn 4, turn 5, turn 3 sometimes if it has the coin and an egg. So Zihi's not going to be a huge factor in this match, I don't think, but Zihi still is a 5/5. So she does challenge things on the board if that's the only play available on turn 6, so it's not terrible. But yeah, it's probably not going to be a huge factor in this game.
Yeah, you really like using Zihi as a tech card for like a druid matchup, where you see them ramp up all of their mana with the wild growths and the nourishes that can really wreck a druid's momentum if you end up putting Zihi down and resetting them to 5 mana. But in a matchup like this where mana crystals aren't something that can be grown, it doesn't really do a whole lot of value more than being the 5/5 drop that you said. But the Devilsaur Egg will come out from ToXavier, and you already see activators. So the play dead pickup at the top means that we're going to start seeing these 5/5 Devilsaurs.
You know, both of these hands from both of these players were very, very quiet. That's what we call it, you know, in chess world. Not a lot of action going on, right? And then the last 3 cards, 2 cards drawn, Egg, Play Dead, both Mountain Giants. Man, there's some powerful top decks. But yeah, the Spellbreaker is going to put a silence on that Egg and force Xavier to go to the Spider Bomb Play Dead, which I think I would have liked to see him hold the Play Dead for like later cube shenanigans. The Spider Bomb's a little greedy there into the Spellbreaker, I think.
Yeah, I think that's going to end up getting punished as well, especially because we know from a caster's perspective that I Am Chaps does have those 2 massive mountain giants waiting in hand. And that Hellfire as well is going to get rid of all of the utility and potential that Spider Bomb could have had in later turns.
Yeah, so Play Dead is a combo piece, right? And you gotta kind of think about what does this card do outside of what it does. And if you think about it in the terms of Egg, in terms of cubes, what it means is it's a 1 mana 5/5. It's a 1 mana create 2 whatever's stuck inside the cube. In this case, what ToXavier did was play it as deal 3 damage. And that's not a lot of value out of a deck that lives and dies on the value it creates off those Death Rattles.
Yeah, and there come these mountain giants.
Yeah. Oof. So much power in hand for I Am Chaps. It's got the second mountain giant, Gul'dan's in hand now. Both hooked Reavers are in hand. Wow. He's got so much gas.
Yeah, but the flanking strike's going to be a really nice pickup for ToXavier. It will allow the Hunter's Mark to hit its mark by getting that mountain giant off the board. But I Am Chaps will be able to respond by dropping another one this turn. And now ToXavier really doesn't have any answers for it in hand.
Yeah, I also wouldn't have minded ToXavier holding that Hunter's Mark, or even just using it and not deploying the flanking strike. Because if he held it till next turn, he could have used it in combination with Death Stalker Rexar. Because that giant still has to trade through Ziliax. who
Yes.
it still has a divine shield. So I think I would have been okay leaving the giant up for a turn and allowing Rexar to come down to get a lot more value. But now, yeah, Mossy Horror off the top, it's not doing a whole heck of a lot. And now 7 mana Rexar is a little awkward.
Yeah. I mean, the Mossy Horror, I can understand why you would want to do that play, especially because you can get rid of the taunt that was in the way
Right.
with the Vulgar Homunculus, and he just sends 6 damage to I Am Chaps' face. Now you can see where that play that you mentioned really stands out, and that would be that Mountain Giant still having to trade into the Ziliax. But that Hooked Reaver is going to come down, get that extra value, and Swamp Ooze to boot, just to start building the board and making it a little bit more menacing for ToXavier to have to deal with. But he's got some decent answers. You know, he can trade, he's got the 2 damage that can come out from the Deathstalker Rexar, and this is a much less awkward turn. Go ahead and send that 2 hero damage power to the face, get Rexar down, and then you can be able to trade in a Wolf or the Mossy Horror into the Hooked Reaver. But that Void Ripper is going to make it an even easier trade for ToXavier to deal with. It's a little bit less damage that's going to be going to the face, but that was so much utility there from that Void Ripper, just getting that out of the way.
Yeah, and this is a ton of damage that ToXavier's put down, and that is probably why they opted to go with the slightly weaker plays, because they're just trying to put minions down on the board, just trying to push as much damage as possible. Same thing they did with the Zulok, but in this particular matchup, you've got Shroom Brewer, you've got Spellstone that can be used to heal. So there are ways for the Warlock to get out of this particular this kind of pickle, because the Hunter, Cube Hunter, doesn't have a ton of burst damage. Now, of course, it does have King Crush, which we can see sitting in hand right now, and that's 8 bursts. So that might spell the end here for I Am Chaps in this matchup. But
It totally does.
there's no way for I Am Chaps to know that. You can't play around King Crush being in the top 18 cards. So this is, no matter how they trade it, this is going to be it.
Yep. Congratulations to ToXavier for taking the series in an incredible 3-2 match. I mean, we saw some, for the most part, decks winning unfavored matchups, but we cast a curse that last one. Death Rattle Hunter really showing why it has a superior matchup against the Even Lock. I really thought for a while there that I Am Chaps had a lot of ability to take this series, but it just got turned around when he couldn't get all of those giants on board.
Yeah, I was kind of advocating for a value game with the Hunter, but the correct answer ended up being for ToXavier to just play out the minions and just create constant pressure and demand that Hellfire or else. And
Yeah.
it ended up working out for him.
Yeah, I mean, that was unlucky for I Am Chaps to not get that Hellfire at all that game,
Mm-hmm.
because he really needed it. And that Prince Kaliseth pressure that was able to come out so early as well really helped him out. But congratulations to Xavier. But don't worry, I Am Chaps. This is not your last chance to play and try to make it to the WESG Grand Finals in Shanghai, China. We do have a second group qualifier that will be happening on Tuesday, the 18th, and that will be another chance for you. Whoever ends up making it to the end of the Group 2 stage qualifier will play against ToXavier for that spot to go to Shanghai.
Yeah, good luck out there for everybody trying to get in. It's going to be a grind, but it's worth it, man. Getting that ticket punched to China feels real good.
It really does. But speaking of more tickets getting punched to China and more chances to make it to Shanghai, we will be back after a short break with our last group qualifier of the night with South America. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Cinder, it's always a pleasure to cast with you. So thank you so much for being here and being a part of WESG.
Well, thank you very much. I enjoy the heck out of it. So, good night, everybody.
Right. Good night.
Ant Financial is a global technology company. It was founded on Alipay, established in China as an escrow service to build trust between online buyers and sellers. Since its first transaction in 2004, Alipay has grown to be the world's largest digital payment platform and has now evolved from a digital wallet to a lifestyle enabler. Users can book hotels, buy movie tickets, and make doctor's appointments among a wide range of other services, all without leaving the platform. Ant Financial is a global technology company. It was founded on Alipay, established in China as an escrow service to build trust between online buyers and sellers. Since its first transaction in 2004, Alipay has grown to be the world's largest digital payment platform and has now evolved from a digital wallet to a lifestyle enabler. Users can book hotels, buy movie tickets, and make doctor's appointments among a wide range of other services, all without leaving the platform.